into Orlando, trying to avoid their longest losing streak of the season. Davis's numbers since coming back from injury, it's just a very small sample size, but not great. Chuma Okeke getting a look at an 8-time All-Star and is back in the same city where he won a title a year ago. And, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot. Davis off to a good start. But on the other end, Okeke. Oh! He had 18 in this one. Drops a hammer on him. Lakers up just 1 in the fourth. Montrezl Harrell attacking 1, 2, and 3 the hard way. He had 18. It's a 4-point lead. Lakers up 4. Dennis Schroeder from the free throw line, good. He had a game-high 21. Davis, corner 3, 9-point lead with about a buck and a half to go. Grows to a dozen. They win by 11.
The King is back. Our Adrian Wojnarowski reporting that LeBron could return in the next week. He's missed 18 games with that high ankle sprain. The Lakers have just dropped their last 2 to Luka and the Mavs, and they're now 5th in the West. Stephen A., does he need to come back ASAP, as I'm saying they're 5th in the West?
Yeah, there's a level of urgency that's kicking in as far as I'm concerned. And the reason why I say that, it's not just because they've lost 3 straight and 4 of their last 5. I know that he's traveling with the team. He's been on the bench. He's been encouraging guys and all of this other stuff. But you need him, because here's the reality of the situation. We can talk about Anthony Davis being healthy and LeBron James needing to be healthy. That's true. But there's such a thing as chemistry and cohesiveness, guys being on the same place, just knowing what each other's going to do instinctually. And I don't think that that's the case right now. And I think that the longer LeBron James is out, the more it's going to affect his team. I think that even if you come back, again, I'm not encouraging him to come back if he's still injured. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not going that extreme. But I'm saying in terms of waiting until you're absolutely, positively, 100%, well, damn it, it might need to be when you're at 95. Because time is running out, because the Western Conference is pretty damn tough. And the fact that they've been playing together, Utah, even though Donovan Mitchell's out right now, Utah's been playing together. Phoenix has been playing together. The Clippers have been playing together. They know how to manage Kawhi Leonard's time and, you know, his games played and games where he's absent from playing, et cetera, et cetera. I think when you look around the Western Conference, the level of cohesiveness and chemistry that other teams are building as the regular season wanes and the playoffs approach, I think is going to be a pivotal thing. And with LeBron, considering how ball dominant he is in running their offense from a point forward position and the way he's able to bring things together for the team, he's going to have to work off some of his rust. Anthony Davis obviously is going to have to do the same, and they're going to have to get on the same page. Those are 3 components that you have to get together before the playoffs begin. And based on what I'm seeing in the rest of the West, I don't think that time is necessarily on the Lakers side, and they can afford to just, take a laissez-faire attitude towards it. I think that there's a level of urgency that needs to be attached to it.
Not if it means bringing LeBron back at less than 100%. Look what happened to James Harden with the Nets. Hamstring issue. Seems like it's okay. When it seems like it's okay and the stakes are this high, you wait more. And now is it okay? It's okay if you always err on the side of caution when it comes to stuff like this. They have to. This is like the real definition of a dilemma. I've brought this up on this show before, Stephen A. People misuse the word dilemma. They take it as a hard choice. A dilemma means a choice between 2 bad options. You got to choose one. So I agree with you. If he rests, it's not a great option. But the other option is worse. You're going to have to play chess sometimes and sacrifice some pieces. You got to do it. You got to sacrifice some pieces if you're trying to win. And the pieces that they're going to have to sacrifice right now is some games in the standings. Maybe if you're on the second half of that bracket, on the wrong side of that bracket, it's possible that things work out, that you're going to have to play the Clippers, the Suns, and the Jazz in these playoffs to get out of the West. Ooh, that's a whole lot. But right now, you're 5. You know who's 4? The Nuggets. And without Jamal Murray, Nuggets can't beat you. Nuggets can't beat the Lakers without, by the way, with Jamal Murray. I wouldn't say, I still take the Lakers at full strength, but you got to bite your nails on that one. But no Jamal Murray, they're going to be fine. Nuggets are good, but they're not that good without Jamal Murray. And so the most important thing, Stephen A., is not to wind up in a James Harden situation. We maybe brought him back. We tried a little too much, a little too soon. Most important thing is you saw how careful they were with AD. And I like what I'm seeing from AD so far. The rust is there, you're right. And he's been out a long time, right? But he looks athletic to me when he's on the floor. That's the most important thing, because he has enough runway to get the other stuff back. But you're right. It would be ideal if the guy who's running your offense, LeBron James, had more time getting ready for the playoffs to ramp up and get in sync. Stephen A., he just may not. I would make that sacrifice. I would sacrifice that piece in this chess game. I would make that tough choice for a bad option to avoid a worse situation, which is LeBron comes back a little too soon, and he's never quite right. They won't get out of the West if that happens.
Well, I can't argue with that in terms of doing everything you can, taking every safety precaution necessary for LeBron James. What I would tell you, however, is let me highlight the other side. Anthony Davis last night scored 17 points against Dallas in their last game. He was on 26% shooting from the field, 0% from three-point range, 0 for 6. He played 28 minutes. Now, obviously, we know he's rusty because we know that doesn't happen to Anthony Davis when he's healthy and he's in the groove. But the fact that LeBron is not on the court puts more emphasis on Anthony Davis needing to be on the court. And when that happens, you never know what kind of trouble that could cause. And so these are all the kind of things that I think that we need to think about here. They got Ben McLemore back in the, we didn't hear from him for a couple of years, but he's back in the, he's back in the NBA, and, he dropped 20 for the Lakers last night and all of that stuff. And Andre Drummond is averaging 11 and 10, and we get that. And we see some of the other pieces. But again, considering the level of competition in the Western Conference, the later you come back, the more rusty you will appear. And I don't know if the Lakers can afford that in this year's Western Conference.
Not as part of the debate, but it's funny you bring up McLemore or you look at Nick Batum. Isn't it amazing, Stephen A., how some of these dudes just don't seem motivated on losing teams or bad situations? And as soon as they get to L.A. and they got a chance to win, it's like, oh, where'd that dude been? Welcome back. Welcome back, Nick Batum.
I told you Blake Griffin wasn't motivated in Detroit. He's clearly motivated now. Made some good plays yesterday for Brooklyn. Obviously had a dunk, moving without the basketball, rebounding, hitting a three here or there as well. Blake Griffin is reminding us that the brother can still play. We didn't see much of that in Detroit, but I told you why that was. He wasn't interested in being there. He's interested in being.
The newly acquired Dennis Schroeder said he intends to start at point guard for the defending champs. The Lakers have not settled upon their starting lineup. Sources told ESPN, though Schroeder would consider him starting at the point guard spot. He also could be asked to fill in off the bench. Sources have said that as well. Max, I'll start with you here. How much pressure is on the Lakers to repeat?
I think there's more pressure on the Lakers this season. Yeah, I didn't hear either. I'm sorry. I'm assuming you said me, but I don't know.
Max,
Go ahead, Max. Go ahead, Max.
Because Stephen A. didn't. Okay. All right. I think there's more pressure on the Lakers to start this season, to win this season, than there was last season. Like, do you remember before last season that survey of GMs, right? I think it was right before the season started. It was late October or November. Who is most likely to win? GMs, right? So they survey 30 GMs, all the GMs in the league, and they ask who is most likely to win the championship. These people, their living is dependent on knowing this kind of stuff, of evaluating talent. Number one was the Clippers. Number two was the Bucks. Lakers finished a distant third. They turned out to be wrong. But the perception was going in, the Lakers may not win it this season. And why not? Like, this is the third time LeBron has formed a super team in a location. The first time is he went to Miami, Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, and then Miller and all these guys. Yeah, we want to play there too. They lost the championship year one. They got there, but they lost. Same thing happened in Cleveland. Oh, they got Kyrie and the number one pick. They can flip Wiggins into Kevin Love. I'll go to Cleveland. There's another super team. Year one, he lost. True, everyone got hurt, but he didn't win the championship year one. LeBron usually figures that out year two because you got to get the details just right. It's hard just to throw guys together and have them win a championship. So I would say the expectation among most who knew was not that the Lakers would win, yet they did. But how about this season, guys? What's the expectation now? A lot of people would say the number 1 and number 2 players in the world are both on the Lakers. They just won the championship, and I think everyone agrees they improved at least on paper in the offseason. Montrezl Harrell and Schroeder and Marc Gasol. So, yeah, there's more pressure now, especially, Stephen A., as you know. You spent enough time in L.A. and have covered the league long enough and have been alive long enough to know. Lakers fans, they get greedy. You know, the reason they want to win a championship is because you can't repeat or three-peat without winning the first one. Now they expect it. So do the odds makers, and I think there's more pressure than ever right now.
Well, for me personally, when I think about three-peat, that's the only time that I'm interested in applying any kind of pressure to LeBron James at this stage and point in his career. He's never done that in his career. He won back-to-backs in Miami. He won one in Cleveland. He won one with the Los Angeles Lakers. But he's never three-peated like Jordan. He's never three-peated like Kobe. And so because of that, I would like to see that. I don't think that will happen. But then again, you never know with the arsenal that they've put forth. The bottom line is I don't think there's as much pressure on the Los Angeles Lakers to quote-unquote repeat outside of that. I think there's pressure on LeBron James to win another chip before he departs from L.A. since he'll have Anthony Davis. And by the way, speaking of Anthony Davis, congratulations to Clutch Sports and Anthony Davis. I don't know why the hell they're in the news for him not signing. It's a 2-year deal, it's a 3-year deal, or it's a 4-year deal. Either way you slice it, you're getting the max. What the hell is all the drama about? Sign the damn contract.
Yeah, just tell them what you
want.
want.
Are you really leaving Southern? Are you really leaving Southern California to go to the windy city of Chicago or to the New York Knicks under Dolan, Max Kellerman? I mean, is there really some suspense as to where Anthony Davis is going to go? But they're in the news. I mean, so hey, more power to Rich Paul and Clutch Sports. Major props to them. He's been doing a good job. Here's the bottom line. At the end of the day, when you look at all the moves that the Lakers made, certainly they're the favorites, they're the prohibitive favorites. But, Max, I was of the mindset, if you remember, I said the Lakers had to win last year. I'm not trying to say there's no pressure, because, of course, there's pressure. I'm saying there was more last year than now. The reason why is because I firmly believed if they had lost last year and somebody else, say the Clippers, had knocked them off, all right, or, God forbid, Denver, okay, then what would have happened was it would have been that much harder for them to ultimately overcome, get over the hump, because there would have been even more pressure to bear on LeBron and Anthony Davis. They would not have won together. Everybody would have been like, what's up, what you gonna do? Meanwhile, those other teams knew how to win. But the fact that that has not happened and the Lakers ended up handling their business in relatively dominant fashion, I might add, the bottom line is because they handled their business the way that they did and they won the chip and they already know how to win together and they've gotten that off. Now they could just go and play basketball, may the best team win. They should be it. Again, there's pressure because they're the prohibitive favorite. But it's nothing compared to what it was last year, because if they had not won last year, it would have been significantly more pressure this season and beyond.
But the reason is, I think there's a problem with that kind of thought experiment. The reason that there's more pressure now is because they didn't lose to the Clippers. They never met the Clippers. They didn't lose to the Nuggets. They didn't lose to anyone. And Stephen A., the truth is, they never really came close, brother. They never really came close. That was kind of an easy championship win. Not that winning any championship is easy, but we've seen teams get to a nail-biter Game 7 along the way, right? Right, they made it look easy. Could someone even take them to a Game 7? No. That was like Jordan on the Bulls type stuff, right? Like, y'all can't even take this dude to a Game 7? Those might be the two best players in the world. So the fact that we now know that they were that much better than the rest of basketball last season, and we all believe they got better, but we don't look at any other team and say, see that team right there? That team was knocking on the door, and they just took a giant step forward. We don't think that about the Clippers. You may think they got marginally better or marginally worse. The Bucks got a little better, but they didn't even get out of the East. Did the Heat get better? Maybe if certain guys improve because they're getting a little older, but no one. We don't see anyone on it's not like the Nuggets acquired some major star or something like that. We're like, okay, now what are they going to do? So for that reason, there's more pressure now because we know what the Lakers are supposed to do. The expectations are higher.
Well, again, I disagree. I mean, because the expectations are higher because we're looking at them and some of the moves that they made, and they're the prohibitive favorites. But I look at Denver, one could argue that there's addition by subtraction, even though